Assalamualaikum and good morning. My name is Nur Fitria binti Ahmad Munir and my matrix number is 23DBT20F1036. So today I want to present about the ethical issues and public concerns on genetically modified organism, which is GMO. So this is the content in my presentation. First, what is GMO? Second, ethical issues on GMO. Third, public concern on GMO. Fourth, opinion on GMO. And lastly is the references. So first, the definition of the GMO. What is mean by GMO? GMO is stand for genetically modified organisms, and a genetically modified organism is an animal, plant, or microbe whose DNA has been altered using genetic engineering techniques. Then in conventional livestock production, crop farming, and even pet breeding, it has long been the practice to breed select individuals of a species in order to produce offsprings that have desirable traits. Then GMO also can improve the product or gain commercial advantages. So this is the GM food in Malaysia. So the maize or the scientific name of corn, which is maize, is the common GM food in Malaysia. So next, I proceed with the ethical issues in GMO. First, GMO can create more weeds. Based on that ethical issue, engineered crops can act as mediators in transferring gene to wild plants, which can create more weeds. Based on that, to keep these new weeds under control, scientists then invented new herbicides that were not necessary for non-GMO weeds. From the new herbicides that the scientists use, they have the chemicals that are also toxic to various of animals who are feeding on GMO crops. So the tests even show that the uptake of these herbicides also has toxic consequences on aquatic ecosystems. Next, for the second ethical issue is GMO can threaten crop diversity. So the GM genes can spread to other organic farm crops and threaten crops diversity in agriculture. And if crop diversity decreases, it will have a direct impact on our entire ecosystems and would affect the population dynamics of other organisms. The chances that a single genetically modified crop strain can pollinate an existing non-GM crop is unlikely and unpredictable, and there are many conditions that must be met for cross-pollination to occur. And next, for the last ethical issue in GMO is gene flow. So, based on this ethical issue, GM crops have added new ways through which the transfer of genetic material can occur. Based on that, there are the three different types of gene flow out of GM crops, which are crop to crop transgene flow, crop to weedy transgene flow, and crop to wild transgene flow. So I will go one by one. First, crop to crop transgene flow is the transfer of genetic material from GM crops to the same type of crop that has not been genetically modified. Next, for the crop to weedy transgene flow is the movement of GM genes to weeds. And lastly is the crop to wild transgene flow is the flow of gene from a GM crop to a wild species. Next, proceed with the public concerns on GMO. First, harm to human health. So, GMO foods or products have potential to harm human health. The result of most studies with GM foods indicates that they may cause some common toxic effects such as hepatic, pancreatic, renal, or reproductive effects and may alter the hematological, biochemical, and immunological parameters. It is believed that consumption of these GMO foods can cause the development of diseases. Besides that, as these foods are new inventions, not much is known about their long-term effects on human beings. As the health effects are unknown, many people prefer to stay away from these foods. So the next public concern is GMO have potential to damage the environment. So the use of some GMO crops can have negative impacts on non-target organisms and on soil and water ecosystems. Next is the last public concern is about the labeling of GMO products. This issue is from the manufacturers that do not mention on the label that foods are developed by genetic modified because they think that this would affect their business, which is not a good practice, but it is basically not good for the consumers. This is like the consumers is deceived from the labeling placed on the products. So, when the product is not labeled, automatically GMO and non-GMO products will be mixed in the same place. This is can confuse the consumers to choose and buy because they are consumers who do not eat the GMO food. So from this issue, mandatory labeling is good for consumers because it will help them be fully informed and less confused when they consider buying GMO products. It is also better for the world, which can benefit from increased understanding and use of genetic engineering technologies. Lastly is about the opinion about GMO. In my opinion, most genetically modified organisms being crossed. This is because GMO food or crops are helpful and safe to eat. Some types of crops use GMO methods to improve their nutrition levels. For example, potatoes. As we know, potatoes have a low calcium content, but with the GMO method, it has a highest calcium content. With a high calcium content, fewer people suffer from osteoporosis. This is to say that this GMO method is good for health. Other than that, this GMO method can also control attacks from pests. With this method, the plant becomes more fertile and its growth increases. This makes it easier for farmers to work because they no longer have to spray pesticides on crops. Without pesticides, crops that use GMO methods will spread from being attacked by pests. Lastly is this GMO method should be used to improve the quality of crop yields. With good crop yields, demand from users will also increase, and many people will buy it and the income become increase. So this is the references that I got, and thank you.